What's up, everybody? Today I'm very excited to be comparing the two 6x7 medium format film cameras that I've shot over the past couple of years, the Bronica GS-1 and the Pentax 6x7. I've spent ample time in the field with both of these cameras, and I finally feel like I'm ready to talk about some of the pros and cons of each system. Before we get into things, I do want to mention I have a text document available that has a bunch of information on both cameras. It's going to go into even more detail than I'll be able to cover in this video, with links to articles with tons of info on both systems. So if you're interested in checking that out, there's a link in the description. You might also notice that my Bronica GS-1 here is a bit incapacitated. If you missed the video on that, there's a link up here, but essentially I dropped this thing off of my grandpa's dump truck like 6 or 7 months ago. Well, the Bronica just fell off of my grandpa's dump truck. Surprisingly, it still worked afterwards, which is a huge testament to the durability of this thing. But my ultimate downfall was the fact that the prism did crack off the body, and then I tried to super glue it back on and fried the ground glass in the process. So that was a huge rookie mistake. Please do not follow in my footsteps there. But that accident led me to pick up the Pentax 6x7, which just was a camera that I had admired for a long time and I'd really wanted to shoot with. So thought it'd be a perfect opportunity to give it a test drive, and I've been loving my time spent with it. I will say that there are 4 different iterations of this camera: the Pentax 6x7, 6x7 mirror lockup, which is the version I have here, the 6.7 and 6.7 II. 6.7 II saw the most improvements overall, which is why that camera has a bit of a heftier price tag. And that's going to lead me to my first main talking point: price. Price can be a huge determining factor when you're looking to get in the world of 6x7, especially when you have Mamiya 7.2s going for like $4,500 these days. Absolutely ridiculous. Neither of these cameras are going to run you anywhere near that price tag, but I still think there is a bit of a clear winner here. Nowadays, it seems like you can pick one up on eBay with the 100mm 3.5 kind of staple lens for this system, a prism finder or a waist level finder, sometimes even a right hand speed grip, and a 120 film back for around $700 US. And that's going to give you everything you need to start shooting. I will say, if you're looking to pick up this kit, definitely try to find one with the prism finder, because it makes shooting in portrait orientation without a tripod possible. Doing that on the waist level finder is incredibly disorienting and hard to do. So definitely find one with the prism finder, and if you can, the right hand speed grip adds that extra level of versatility. But yeah, this system and everything you need to start shooting can be picked up for around $600, $700, $800 US. Now on the Pentax side of things, it gets a little bit tricky because of the many different camera iterations and lens iterations. As I mentioned previously, I have the 6x7 mirror lockups, the second version of this camera. And then both the lenses that I have are the newest versions, the SMC Pentax 6.7 glass. I have the 75 4.5 and the 105 2.4. So the camera body cost me $400 US, which was a really good deal because it was in mint condition. And then the lens, the 105 2.4 lens, which was the first lens I picked up, that ran me about $500 US. I found that on Craigslist, which was also a good deal because this glass usually goes for around $600 or $700 on eBay, it seems like. So the total price of the body and the 105 lens was $900 US, and then the 75 was $230 US, bringing the total price of my kit to around $1,130 US. But the nice thing about the Pentax is there's different versions of the body, different versions of the glass. So if you need to customize your kit to fit your budget, that is totally a possibility. So that's going to lead me to talk about the glass. There's plenty of options available for both cameras. The Bronica, you have 9 different focal lengths to choose from, ranging from 50 to 500 millimeters. It's quality glass. I've gotten some of my favorite images out of this system using the peachy glass. It seems as though the general standpoint is that the Pentax glass is a bit sharper, a bit higher quality, but it's important to remember that the majority of work these days is being shared online on social media. And if that's your primary outlet, it's going to be really tough for people to tell the difference between an image that comes out of the Bronica and the Pentax, if I'm being quite honest. So if you're on a bit of a budget and you don't mind the slight, maybe even non-existent difference in lens quality, the Bronica GS-1 might be a fantastic option for you. I will say though that in terms of options, the Pentax is a clear winner here. when it comes to glass, just because you have over 20 different focal lengths to choose from, as well as some specialty glass as well, like fisheyes and zoom lenses. And not only that, like I mentioned, there's different versions of each lens available. So if you don't want to pay, for the newest version of the 105 2.4, you can pick up an older version, save yourself a couple $100. Yeah, I think the Pentax wins on this side just because it is a bit higher quality and there's a lot more options available, a lot more focal lengths to choose from, and you can really customize this kit to fit your shooting style. Next, let's talk about ergonomics. This was my biggest worry when switching over to the Pentax, just because the Bronica is such a lightweight system, and with that right hand speed grip, this thing is a breeze to shoot with. It's super simple and it makes for a really nice shooting experience. When I picked up the Pentax in a camera store before I purchased it, I was just blown away by how clunky and heavy and awkward it felt, but I added this right hand grip when I picked up the camera. It's 3D printed, picked it up on eBay for like $15. Totally transformed the user experience. I definitely recommend picking one of these up. The weight can be a bit of an issue. I do a lot of hiking with this camera and it's tolerable, it's manageable, but something as lightweight as the GS1 is quite nice. I think this camera with the lens and whatnot comes out to weigh about 3 pounds, and the Pentax with the 105 lens comes out to weigh about 5 pounds. So an extra couple of pounds of weight on this guy can definitely add up if you're shooting with it for long periods of time or hiking with it. All right, lastly, I'm going to talk about features and modularity. At first glance, you might think that the Bronica here is much more modular than the Pentax, but really the only difference comes down to the fact that this Bronica has interchangeable film backs. And not only can you interchange 120 6x7 film backs, you can shoot different film formats, different aspect ratios. You can pick up a 6.6, 6.45 film back, a 35mm film back as well. There's a lot of ways to customize the type of film that you're shooting with the GS1 here. On the Pentax, you don't have any interchangeable film backs. You have to shoot the film that you put in there. You have to, shoot that entire roll, whereas on the Bronica, you can shoot different films simultaneously. You can pick up some 35mm film adapters for the Pentax and run 35mm through there, shoot some panoramas if that's your jam. But you can also do that on the Bronica, obviously, with a 135 film back. Now, both cameras offer interchangeable prisms. There's a waist level finder for this Pentax system. There's a waist level finder for the Bronica system. You can add the right hand grip on the Bronica. You can add the left hand grip on the Pentax, or this small right hand grip as well. So really, the modularity differences, there isn't much. It comes down to the interchangeable film back on the Bronica. But the Pentax, I think, is a bit more customizable than people originally think. The winner in terms of modularity is definitely the Bronica, just because not only do you have that capability of interchanging film backs, there's just a lot of accessories available for this camera. I mean, there's different prisms, different grips, different film backs, and of course lenses as well. But yeah, a lot of ways to customize the GS1. It's definitely the winner here, but I think the Pentax gets shunned on a little bit because people don't think it is as customizable as it really is. Now, in terms of features, I think the Bronica wins as well. This thing just feels like a newer camera. It feels like it's a generation newer. And that's primarily because of the bells and whistles that come on this thing. You have a mirror lockup switch here. You have a double exposure switch as well right here, which is really nice. That's something that you won't find on this version of the Pentax. The newest version, the 672, as I mentioned, that saw the most improvements. You will find, double exposure features and whatnot, but we're just solely talking about the 6x7 mirror lockup version in this video. This thing just, there's an on-off switch, which essentially acts as a safety switch. Both cameras operated via battery. The other nice thing about this Bronica system is this brilliant center weighted meter on this prism finder here. It gives you a digital reading inside of the viewfinder when you press the shutter button halfway down to the half stop of how accurate your exposure is. The meter on the Pentax, from my experience, is not super accurate. It usually says the picture is more overexposed than it really is when I use my external meter. And then also with the Pentax, the mirror lockup switch, you guys know how I feel about this. It's put in the most inconvenient spot humanly possible. I mean, I have switched this thing up accidentally far too many times to count, as you guys have seen in my videos. You really got to put the mirror up button in the stupidest place. This Pentax is pretty bare bones. Like I said, the 6.7 II, you're going to find a lot more bells and whistles, different features with that camera. This guy is pretty as straightforward as it comes, but that can make for a really fun shooting experience. So with all of that being said, which camera should you choose? What do I recommend? All these film camera review videos seem to kind of come to the same conclusion. Well, it's up to you. It's personal preference, and yes, it is. But here's my 2 cents. If you're coming from 35mm or 6.45 and you're looking to just jump into the world of 6x7 for the first time, I think the GS1 is going to be a great option for you. It's lightweight, it's going to feel comfortable in your hand. It feels more like a 6.45 camera than it does a 6.7 camera. The thing is great for user experience, delivers high quality images at a decent price tag. You can't go wrong with this camera. I love my time spent with it. The Pentax, on the other hand, it's bigger, it's clunkier, it's heavier. You know, it's a bit more awkward at first, but I think it is a bit more of a professional's camera, in my opinion, just in terms of the glass available. There's so many different options when it comes to glass, and that's primarily the reason I'm going to continue to shoot it. You know, I'm slowly cycling through all these different focal lengths. I mean, there's a 45mm lens available for this thing. Like, that's incredibly cool to me, that I can get these super wide focal lengths, even fisheyes. You know, I'd love to experiment shooting skate photography or whatnot with fisheyes on 6x7 film. That is something that is going to keep me shooting on the Pentax 6x7. Not to mention this lens alone, the 105 2.4. I mean, this is a reason in itself to buy this camera. It's incredibly sharp. The bokeh is gorgeous. I love shooting portraits with this thing. Depth of field is insane, and it's a really, really fun experience. But yeah, you know, it really does come down to your preference. If you have more money and you want something that's, you know, got more options and capabilities long term, maybe jump into the Pentax. But if you're just getting started and you want to kind of test the waters, see if 6.7 is something for you, man, pick this thing up. It's fantastic, trust me. But yeah, that's been my review of these two great 6.7 cameras, both of which I've had a great time shooting over the past couple of years. Like I said before, there's a text document in the description you can check out with all the info that I share in this video, as well as more. And yeah, if you have any other questions, stuff that I missed in this video, or something you'd like to have answered, definitely leave me a comment. I'll do my best to get back to you. Other than that, everybody, hope y'all are staying safe and healthy out there, and I will catch you next week. Peace.